Hi, so welcome to the first in our sequence of how to teach different elements for children, and it's aimed for primary school level children. This first one is all about how to teach speedy subtraction. My name is Nicola Ross. I am the owner of the Kit McGraw Education Centre in Sheffield, and we offer children additional maths and English support both online and in centre. The first thing I want to talk you through today is a quick way, a written way of teaching mental subtraction. So we want our children to be really good at mental subtraction. If you're joining the talk, if you want to just press the thumbs up so I can see how people are here. So this method comes between when children are learning to count on their fingers. So when they're taking numbers between 1 and 10, then they'll use their fingers. Then this method can come into play, and then you get your formal written methods, which is where you do your borrowing and your carrying and the methods that a lot of us were taught at school. So the way this works, this is called an empty number line. Okay, so what you do is, say you've got the calculation 30 take away 16. You would draw a number line with no numbers on it. And the way I talk through this, and just hold this so you can see, put it there, is I would call it a riverbank. So you have your river, and you have your riverbank at one number at one end and a riverbank at the other end. I put my smallest number at this end, my biggest number at that end. So it's as if it's a normal number line counting up left to right. Now the story you tell children is that the river is too wide for me to cross in one jump. So what I'm going to do is put a stepping stone in the middle. And the stepping stone I'm going to create is going to be created by rounding this number up to the next 10. Now quickly, to explain what that means for those who aren't sure, I have my number line here. If I'm going to round up to the next 10, then I'm going to go, say I'm on 13, rounding it up to the next 10 will take me up to 20. If I'm on 8, rounding up to the next 10 will take me to 10. Okay, so we're going to round up, regardless of what the number is. So rounding my 16 up to the next 10 takes me up to 20. I'll pop that in there. Okay, so now I have a step that I can jump on. I'm going to jump. I'm going to go from my 16, my riverbank, onto my stepping stone. I'll say, okay, how far have I jumped? And there's two ways children can answer you with this. One is they can put 16 in their head and count on to 20. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, giving you 4. Or you can say to them, number bonds to 10, 6 and hopefully they'll say 4, because by this time they'll know their number bonds to 10. They'll know what numbers add together to make 10. So either way, your answer makes 4. Okay, so now your next bit is going to be your next jump. So you can now go from your stepping stone onto your riverbank. So I'm going to do our jump. And you can point out at this point, oh look, they're both in the 10 times table, so we can count up in tens. What do I add to 20 to get to 30? I add 10. So I can put my 10 in. All right, and then the final bit is to work out how far have you jumped altogether. How far did it take to cross the whole river? So you do 4 add 10, which equals 14. And then you've got your answer. Okay, so doing it this way starts children getting the idea of the method, and then they can very quickly transfer this into their heads. So you'll say to them, what's 30 take away 16? And immediately they'll go, right, 16 rounded up to nearest 10 is 4. Then from there to there it's 10, so it's going to be 14. And you'll be surprised at how quickly they can internalise that, and they don't need to write the number line anymore. It's best to start with a visual, to start with something that they can then internalise. Just hit the thumbs up button if that makes sense. If you want to write any comments, if it's not making sense, I can go through it again. Okay, so once you've got this idea, so they're comfortable with this level of equation, you can take it up a notch to something like this. So now you've got a bigger equation to work out. So now you've got 72 take away 23. Now this makes a bigger river. So I still have my river, I still have my river banks, but the river is a lot wider. So now I need 2 stepping stones to cross it. My first stepping stone is going to happen by rounding 23 up to the nearest 10. So exactly what we've just done. I'll put that stepping stone in here. And 23 going up to the nearest 10 is going to be 30. Sometimes when children find this tricky, it's because they're not sure how to round. So one thing you can say to them is, if you were standing on 23 and you were walking up a number line, going up towards 100, what would be the first number you came to with a 0 on the end? And that's rounding up to 10. The opposite is true now for your other stepping stone. So what we're going to do is take 72 and round it down to the nearest 10. Okay, now this is often the one that causes the problems. The analogy of standing on the number line and walking downhill now. So stand on 72, walk downhill. What's the first number you come to with a 0 on? 70. A lot of children at this point will want to put 60. Okay, so just watch out for that. But they are just going to the nearest 10 and not jumping down a hole, but subtracting the whole 10. Okay, so now I have all my stepping stones in place and I can jump. So I'm going to jump from 23 to 30. Number 1's to 10, 3 and 7. Put the 7 in. Then I've got my 30 to 70, and oh, we can do our 10 times table for this. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 gives me 40. And I would use fingers. Fingers are great for getting children through, getting the pathway in the brain, the long-term potentiation, making that really solid. For any physical movement is really, really helpful for children in building those pathways. So then you've got your last stepping stone, which is going to be 70 to 72. It's a nice, easy little hop across to the green grass, and that's 2. So now your question is, okay, how far have I jumped? And we're going to put a little technique in here as well. To add these numbers up, we're going to start with the biggest. So start with your 40 and add your 7. If children are struggling with this, sometimes I'll say, pick up the 7 and put it on top of the 0. What number have you got? And if you've got things like arrow cards, they really help here as well. So 40 as 7 gives you 47. Add 2 is 49. Okay, so you've got your jumps. So a few little things to be aware of. One we've already talked about is that rounding down too low. So children putting 60 there instead of 72 and then having a bigger equation to work out in their heads. The other one is they get these numbers in the wrong order. So you want to talk about the numbers flow upwards with the river. They always flow upwards. So if you've got a number in here that's higher than this number, or if this number is lower than this number, they're not flowing in order. So they just need to check what they've done and have a look around at it. That's quite a common error. And again, I would make sure they can do this bit in their head first. So the one with the 1 stepping stone in the head first, before you add in the 2 stepping stones. But you'll find that it does happen really quickly, the difference between the 2. Okay, I think we're going to just give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. We're happy with that. We've got a little bit of time, so are there any questions about that at all, or anything that you're having difficulty with at the moment? Okay, good. All right, brilliant. So that's the last one for today. If you want to add any comments or any questions, if you want to just comment below. And we're going to do another one next week, same time, so Wednesday at 8:15. We're going to stay with the maths theme for now. And we're going to be looking at partitioning, so a way of adding and multiplying bigger numbers without doing your written methods. That's good. I'm glad people get it. Without doing your bigger methods. So again, mental maths. It's important that we get children's mental maths really strong before we start teaching the formal written methods. to make them confident, strong mathematicians. If we hit the written methods too soon, then what happens is it slows them down and they actually get a bit confused and they focus on the method rather than the actual reasoning behind the maths. Okay, thank you ever so much for watching. Again, write any comments below and I will get back to you with any questions. Thanks very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.